Looking for a place to test your golf game against fellow amateurs with similar skills and the same passion for the game? Whether you are a weekend warrior with a competitive fire or an elite amateur looking for opportunities to hone your tournament performance, the Amateur Players Tour has a home for you. Go to amateurplayerstour.com today to join the only AM tour on the continent created by the players and for the players.
The Amateur Players Tour is broken up into a lot of different chapters around the country. You can play in any chapter that you want. So you get to meet people from anywhere. I could fly out to the West Coast and play in chapters there and meet people. I could, stay here locally. There are 3 or 4 chapters here in my region that I tend to gravitate towards, and I've met people in all of those, and we stay in touch and play golf and socialize together. So the APT has this tagline, hashtag by the players for the players, and they live by that motto. One of the things that they like to do is when they're creating these tournaments, they want to get feedback from the players on what kind of a format you want the tournament to be in. It can be a stroke play, it can be a skins game. I believe there's even a couple of team events that are on the schedule in certain chapters. And they get feedback from the players so that they can cater the tournaments to what the players want to play. Same thing for locations. As they're scouting out new chapters or new tournament venues, they're asking the players, where are some of the courses you would like to play?
Now on the tee from St. Louis, from Las Vegas, from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Jody, Phil, what's up, guys? How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great, Matt. How's it going, buddy?
It's going well here in headquarters back in Illinois. We are working feverishly, processing some Pinehurst registrations. Man, I cannot believe that we are now have registration open for this inaugural North American Championship. It's crazy to think how fast this year's gone, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been kind of flying by the seat of our pants now for the last several months, and just kind of woke up one day and realized, oh my goodness, there are people actually registering for this event already. So we're starting to see the numbers tick up every day. I think I get an hourly report from you. Seems like how many more we have signed up, and so to say that the home office is absolutely excited about Pinehurst would be an understatement.
Yeah, definitely. It's been kind of crazy, because we've got multiple things going in different directions right now. Because we're doing a lot of planning for the 2022 season. Last week was a huge week announcing Big Cedar Lodge. Going to Tigers Course on 4th of July is going to be an exceptional way to spend Independence Day. Absolutely excited about that. But, we're also working really hard to make Pinehurst an experience unlike anyone's seen on an amateur tour for North American Championship. And so today spent a lot of time on the phone with our different partners and sponsors, working on just the gift pack when you walk in, having a shopping experience with Turtleson and, all the other goods that are going to be there. I mean, you're walking away with like $250 worth of stuff before you even hit a ball. $100 in the prize pool per person, $52,000 prize pool total paid out. It's going to be awesome. And then, one of those things I just want to encourage people as well, is you're seeing the field that's not all the people that have necessarily registered. And so we're waiting to, clear that room block a little bit. And so we'll have a report coming from Pinehurst tomorrow morning, and you'll see a lot more people. We've had a lot of people sign up that are still waiting to get cleared. And so we're waiting on that report this week from Pinehurst. So we haven't had a report since last week. And so it's going to be a little crazy tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's together with getting all the fine details ironed out with that. I know you and Allie and the team and Phil have been working really hard also on making sure all of the handicaps have been updated, getting all the promotions done, so they're getting people registered in the right flight. So, there's been a ton of work going on in the background. You and I have been talking for quite some time about the long hours we've been putting in, but I think it's cranked up even double what we've expected over the last 5, 6, 7 days.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's certainly probably the hardest I've ever worked from a timing perspective, but it's been so much fun. I mean, we've been able to travel the country. Between you and I, we've been to every single chapter but one. And so we're going to get to that one here very shortly. But we've met so many great people along the way. I just see the chat, just some of the smack talk from Matt Miller down in Charlotte. And, I'm very proud to display that trophy behind. You may have got me on Friday, but I got you when it counted, buddy. So Victoria National, but great friendships all across the country. We've got so many people that are just fantastic, and it's been so fun to get to meet everybody and to be able to travel the country and now to get ready for this inaugural championship. And so I think it's a good segue to bring in Mayor Phil down in Charlotte, because one of the things as we've expanded so quickly, we've had to kind of change some operational procedures. It's become a lot of work. And so he's stepped up in a huge way. He is now the chair of our handicap committee. And so there's a team of 3 of us, myself, Matt Fegley from Northern California, and Phil, who's heading this up, is going through and reviewing all these indexes every week. And, we're taking feedback from the players and really starting to not only make sure 2021 is complete, but really look at the tweaks we need to make for 2022 to make the system even better. And so, Phil, you want to talk a little bit about, what it's like to be on a handicap committee, what your day looks like on Wednesdays and Thursdays?
Yeah, it's a little hectic, but it's like you say, it's a labor of love right now, and making sure that the experience that our players have is the correct one. The work that you were putting on early in the season, it wasn't that bad when we had, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, maybe at the most, and there wasn't a lot of rounds to review. Now that we're over 3,000 members and we're getting to the point where we got many of our players with 6, 7, 8, 9 rounds, some well into the 15, 16 range. The handicaps are a little more volatile, and the report that we run, we're reviewing in excess of 100, 150 people that we have on our watch list every week. And for those that are, it's not a black and white situation. We're taking a look at outliers, strength of the fields that we're running into, course setups. So there's a lot of factors going in there. Plus, we also got 3 people, again, like you said, we had at least 3 people on this committee, so we don't have a hometown bias. when we're looking at these things. If it's one of my players, whatever, yourself and Matt have a lot more say into what we're doing. So I can't sway the conversation one way or the other from that standpoint. I don't want any favoritism being shown to my players, and unfortunately, that sometimes that's a bad thing. But again, my players know the way that we run things here. Again, if somebody's playing good, whatever, and they deserve to be up, they're going to be up from that standpoint. I just happened to see a chat in there from Stephen Hawk, whatever. No, Stephen, Cabarrus is not full. Registration is still open. Feel free to register. I am working on pairings in the morning, by the way. Pairings will go out for Cabarrus tomorrow morning for Saturday's shotgun. But again, but Stephen, I had to get the handicaps done in order to get people in the proper flights for the tournament. So,
oh goodness, yeah, I'm waiting to print scorecards too. I as we've made these systems, obviously our software provider, we've in the first year of them building some stuff, we found some glitches and continuing to work through that with them. And they've been very helpful. I know you and I are taking a trip up in about a month to spend a few days with their developers, which is going to be really good. And 2022 is going to be awesome. We appreciate your hard work with the handicaps, and it's important to have a handicap committee because a computer report doesn't always tell the full story, and it really takes some people taking a close look to make sure that people are in the right division and they're able to compete. And so it's a really important job, and Jody and I both really appreciate you stepping up and taking that mantle and that responsibility, and we're excited to have you on board.
I appreciate it more than Matt does.
That's because I'm still working on it. So, but it is hard, because I'm sitting there and I've got my guys in St. Louis, and I'm like, oh, it's so much easier to just let you guys make the decision. So there's no favoritism. There's, and it really, that degree of separation, it really allows us to be fair, but to take a closer look. And I think it's really important. So, coming up next, we got to talk about senior major. Coming up here in a couple of weeks. I know, Phil, you'll be there. Jody will be down there. I'm excited, but let's take a quick look at this message from our partner, Blue Tees. So, I mean, how important do you think, Jody, is a good rangefinder when you get to Lookout Mountain Golf Club with that Seth Rayner design in the mountains? What do you think?
Well, look, any golf course that you're playing for the first time, or maybe the first or second time, and you're not super comfortable with what you're looking at, it's always helpful to have that additional data and comfort of knowing that you have the right yardage of what it is you're trying to get to. Being able to shoot the face of a bunker and know what you have to clear that is as a player about the closest thing to a safety blanket that you got. So, I don't know anymore that I would want to play without my rangefinder. Having played college golf in the old days, way back when, before they let us use those things, I was probably a little bit late to the game to jump on board. But man, now it's having my Blue Tees with me out west last week at Reno, and playing the old Greenwood now, where the guys are playing the Barracuda this week. Watched a little bit of that earlier today. There's some places there that you've not seen it before. You don't really know where you're supposed to go, and Blue Tees really helped me get around that place for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I remember the old days playing tournament golf. I'd practice pacing to make sure I was, I'd have an exact yard every time, because, those sprinkler heads could be 50 yards apart in certain courses. And, if you weren't good at it.
Little inside tip, we had a yardstick taped to our floor in our dorm so that we could practice making sure that we were taking the proper distances for our steps in college. That was, plus I had all those Canadians on the team. I had to convert them over from metric anyway.
There you go. It's 36 inches, not 39, guys. It'll be
That's
okay.
right. That's
So,
right.
that could be hard if you've got to have a Canadian stride and a US stride back in the day. So, I guess that helps me appreciate Mike Weir and what he did a little bit more, switching that over back in the good old days. Well, we've got a golf architect just waiting to be on the call here in a minute. So I'm a little nervous because we've got to talk about golf architecture if we're going to talk about Black Creek Club and Lookout Mountain and why the senior major is just a complete must go to. So I'm gonna leave this to you for a little bit. You've got a little more experience than I do, and so why don't you?
I'm so excited to have our guest on here in a few minutes. I know his ears are perked up hearing us talk about Seth Rayner, maybe the only guy we ever have on our show who actually, has met Brian Silva and can tell some inside stories about, Brian and the guy who designed Black Creek Club. So, looking forward to having that conversation. But yeah, if you are on the fence and you haven't registered yet for the Seth Rayner Classic coming up on August 23rd and 24th in Chattanooga, two incredible golf courses, utilizing classic golf course architecture in the styling. Brian Silva did a modern design of Black Creek Club a little over 20 years ago now, and it's just a fantastic golf community. Using the template holes throughout in that design. Doug Stein, who's the owner and kind of, president emeritus there for Black Creek Club, they've done a fantastic job of kind of leading the way on what modern architecture can do to bring to the classic game. And then, turn around the next day and go up on top of the mountain, be able to play one of Seth Rayner's last designs, and at the time it was built, I think the second most expensive golf course to be built in the country, back in 1920 or 22, I believe. I think it was only surpassed by Yale Golf Club, which was another Rayner CB McDonald style course. So, it's a treat to be able to play these two courses, private clubs like that. And for those of us who don't get an opportunity to see this architecture, I strongly encourage you to make every effort to sign up for this and be there. It's a unique experience, and I think it will allow you to go back to your home club and some of the clubs that you play around your hometown and look at the architecture there and look at the game just a little bit differently.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. Included in the entry, we've partnered with Turtleson for this event. And so everybody that gets entered by this weekend, so if you entered a long time ago, we've got emails about that. You're already good. But we're going to include a shirt from Turtleson included in the entry. So $100 value right there. Two top 100 golf courses. Black Creek's a top 100 residential. Lookout Mountain's a top 100 classic. Some people say it's one of Seth Rayner's greatest designs. I certainly can't wait to be there. I'm a little jealous that I'm not 50 yet. This is one that I would definitely probably enter myself in the field. So if any of the Division I guys, want to let me play, I'm totally okay with that. I don't think it's going to happen, though. From talking to Ed earlier, I don't think he wants me in the field. So we'll just have to ride around and enjoy it that way. But certainly looking forward to it. It's going to be a great event. But we've got more majors to announce tonight, Jody. And so I think we should get to that next. But first, let's see a message from our friends at 2 Under.
2 Under. Quality fabrics, no roll waistband, Joey pouch, elevate and separate, no chafing. What more could you ask for?
So just a reminder to our members, you can go to 2under.com. That's 2UNDR.com. Use the code APT20. Gets you 20% off anything in their store that's not on sale or licensed college or Ryder Cup merchandise. The other video we show talks about, wearing Ricky's underwear. And, I know I've got my Joey pouch today, Jody. I'm sure you've got yours on as well. So certainly product we believe
in. That's what they say.
Absolutely. 100%. Well, it's going to be hard to one up last week's announcement. obviously Big Cedar Lodge is a huge get. Paynes Valley, the course that Tiger built. Obviously, Tiger's brand new into the golf course design game. But one of the hottest golf courses on the planet right now. Running the St. Louis chapter, it's almost impossible to get a tee time down there. If you want to get a tee time now, they're like, you can come in like the middle of November and it'll probably be snowing, but you can play. You know what I mean? Because it is sold out every day. And so to have that event on 4th of July weekend is going to be really special. But this one's going to be good, man. I'm pretty excited about this one. It's another facility you've been to. You say it's in your top 5 of all time.
It is. Of all the places I've played, certainly from the modern game, this is definitely easily in my top 5.
So here's what I want to know. So I've got to play a lot of golf with you so far this year, and we've played some really special places. One of the most fun things about this, is you've got me in, obviously, the Raider program. We've started to travel around and play some really cool places, and obviously our chapter owners have booked some ridiculously good golf courses, and we've held tournaments at some great places. Just for my clarification, where's Pasatiempo on your top list? Is it inside your top 5?
Well, as a Raider with Golf Week magazine, we separate out the classic and the modern architecture, and Pasatiempo being a classic course, it's definitely up there, and certainly in my top 10, maybe definitely in my top 5 as far as classic courses are concerned.
Yeah, if you had to combine them, just out of curiosity, because obviously I know how much hype you had for me to go to Pasatiempo, and it did not disappoint. I mean, my score disappointed, but the experience did not.
Yeah, it's such a great golf course. There's not a bad hole on the entire routing, and yeah, I can't say enough about Pasatiempo. It's definitely up there, man. The two golf courses, Pasatiempo compared with what we're going to talk about tonight for a major, there's some comparisons. There's some similarities in the bunkering, some similarities in the green complexes with how much slope and undulation they have. So it'll be interesting to talk to our guest about that and, kind of his take on what Chambers Bay was all about and what they were doing when they built that place.
Yeah, you kind of just said the name of the golf course.
I know. I stuck it out there, didn't I?
You didn't want to let me listening. Yeah, it's all good. But, 4 USGA championships since 2010, including the 2015 U.S. Open. It's going to host the 2022 U.S. Women's Mid-Amateur right before we're there. So if you ever played a golf course in USGA championship condition, it is a treat for sure. But before we bring on our special guest tonight and talk more about this, let's watch this video. Yeah, I've got to say, I got a little bit of goosebumps watching that. So last week or so, I've been looking at images, and man, it's going to be good. But Jody, why don't you introduce our special guest tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, special credit to guys at Envisage Golf for the video there. It's a fantastic video. But want to bring in a young man that had a whole lot to do with the design and build of Chambers Bay. Golf course architect now with his own shop, and also affiliated with Golf Week magazine, writing some articles and also helping out as an advisor with the rating panel, so Golf Week's best rating panel. So I want to welcome Jay Blasey. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
The pride of Wisconsin. Happy to have you with us, man.
It's great to be here.
So first of all, before I start jumping into Chambers, we just had a big announcement last week. We did this show, and it was Matt's birthday, and he was all geeked up to announce that we were going to be going to Big Cedar Lodge on 4th of July weekend next year. And it just so happens you've spent the last couple of days there with a Raider group, right?
We have. I just drove over from there earlier today. We played Paynes Valley. We played Buffalo Ridge today, and we played Ozark National as well. And they also have two short courses as well. So 5 different golf courses to play in addition to the big lodge, and there's all sorts of other things to do if you're into hiking or biking or boating or shooting or fishing or hunting. It's quite the place.
So from an architectural standpoint, with your background, I know you can't hardly walk around a golf course without looking at it with a critical eye. So having seen Buffalo Ridge now and Paynes Valley up close in person, what are your first impressions?
Well, I think the thing that jumped out to me was that the golf courses were different, right? So if you think about Ozark National, that's the Core Crenshaw golf course. It sits on the old site of Murder Rock, and that's a layout that's set out on top of ridge tops, right? And so they did a pretty neat job of routing the golf course so that you get some variety in how you interact with the ridge tops. Sometimes the valley's on the left side, sometimes it's on the right side. You have to hit over it. Then you think about Paynes Valley, and Paynes Valley kind of starts up high and then gets down into kind of a low or middle area, and weaves kind of throughout somewhat similar terrain. There's still plenty of movement, but it's not drastically up or down. It kind of sits at the base of this giant hill, and the clubhouse sits, probably 300 feet up of this on top of this giant rock escarpment that's there, and so then you finish at the base of that giant rock escarpment. Then I think most everybody now has seen the 19th hole that sits at the base of that. So you play the 19th hole, the little island green, and then you have this mile-long cart ride up that rock face, and you're weaving back and forth, and you go through a waterfall, underneath the water, across the water, into a cave, over a bridge. It's kind of like golf in a video game, if you will. And then the third big course is Buffalo Ridge. I guess that's probably about 20, 25 years old now. And that's, I guess, a little bit more traditional. It's still dramatic as you play through valleys. There's lots of rock outcroppings. I think there were 13 waterfalls and 7 bridges. Most of the bridges were covered. So there's plenty of drama at all 3 of the courses. And I think the thing that's most interesting is that the 3 courses are different.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you going out there intentionally to do some scouting for us, so you can bring that scouting report back this week. I know that's the only reason you were there this week.
Whatever I can do to help, Jody.
Well, I appreciate that. So let's talk about your background and how you got into golf course architecture to begin with. I know, just brushing up a little bit on your bio today, it seems like you knew from a very early age that this was something that you wanted to do. So, give us the quick Reader's Digest version about how you ended up in golf course architecture and how you ended up at Chambers Bay.
Well, golf's been a part of my life my whole life. My dad fell in love with golf. He was a caddy. He grew up on the south side of Chicago. He caddied at Beverly Country Club, a great old Donald Ross course. And so he met he went to the UW-Madison, met my mom there. And when they built their first house, my dad built a putting green in the yard. And so when I came along, my whole life I've had a little putting green in the yard. So I was chipping and putting as a 2-year-old. We'd go out to dinner when I was 4 or 5. I'd flip the placemat over and draw golf holes in crayon. We'd go on long car rides, and I'd just plant my face in the window and look out at the farm fields and picture golf holes. So I knew really early on that this is something I was passionate about. Found out people actually did it for a living. Found out most people got a degree in landscape architecture, so that's what I did. Got my degree from UW-Madison, and then went to work for Robert Trent Jones II, based out in Palo Alto, California. Started there. My first day of work was the day before 9/11, and for the first year or two was just helping out other people in the office, putting together base maps, coloring plans, doing all sorts of drafting and things like that. And then a couple years in, all of a sudden, this potential project kind of came across the desk came into the office. It was a municipal project up in Washington. They actually had an RFP process, so they had 56 different architectural firms submit proposals. But it just seemed different. It was on the shores of Puget Sound. It was a former sand and gravel mine. So it was going to be municipal golf. It was going to be sandy golf on the water. The climate up in the Pacific Northwest is such that fescue grass actually grows up there. So it had all the ingredients to have, links golf. They also had a very big site. They knew they were interested in creating a golf course that could serve as an economic development engine for the area. So they weren't looking to just build a regular golf course. They wanted one that would bring people to the community and stay in hotels and rent cars and things like that. And they thought one of the ways to do that would be to host championships. So we knew that was something that would be part of it. And so first site visit, while we were still trying to get the job, was December 23rd, 2003. I remember that distinctly. And the first time I ever stepped foot on the property, you're just in awe. There's a big trail where the clubhouse sits now, is about 240 feet above Puget Sound. And so you can look out over the whole pit now where the golf course sits. And so you just have this kind of amazing view looking out over the whole course, over Puget Sound. There's islands in Puget Sound. Then you see the Olympic Mountains in the distance. And then you go down into the pit. And again, the first time I was there, it was like a kid in the candy store. It was like the world's biggest sandbox, right? You'd see this mountain of sand over in one direction. You'd run over there. You'd climb to the top of it and see what you could see over. And so it was just amazing. Our team was lucky enough to kind of navigate through the process. They narrowed it from 56 to 5. We interviewed in early 2004 and got the job. Used 2004 as kind of a year to kind of design the golf course or to try and lay out the routing and stuff. We got started with construction in 2005, finished in 2006, and the golf course opened in 2007, summer 2007. And February of 2008 is when they announced that it was going to host the 2010 U.S. Amateur and the 2015 U.S. Open. So it was a dream come true for all involved, no doubt about it.
So what do you think with that many architects all vying for this job and getting narrowed down to the 5 and then finally getting picked? What do you think were kind of the key components for, I guess, your proposal or your team's proposal that pushed you guys over the edge and got the project for you?
Well, obviously, the history of Robert Trent Jones II, it's a big firm, been around for, at that time, 30 years with hundreds of golf courses all over the world. The firm had done golf courses that had hosted all sorts of different championships, different USGA events, but, tour events, international events, things like that. I'm sure that carried some weight. I'd like to think that our specific proposal carried a lot of weight. I spent myself and another guy in the office basically spent a month pulling all-nighters, putting together a proposal. It was kind of an 80-page booklet of everything. As part of the process, we had to kind of put together a preliminary design. And so Those were long nights. One thing that was unique about the interview was knowing that they were thinking about hosting championships. We wanted to try and convey to them how confident we were that the site was special enough to yield a golf course that could host a big championship. And so I had attended the 2003 PGA Championship at Oak Hill in Rochester, New York. And I ended up having lunch sitting next to a guy at a picnic table, and he made custom bag tags for a living. I think he was based out of Florida. And I asked him, I said, what's the minimum order that you could have for that? He said, oh, we could do 50 or something. And so I talked to my boss at the time and said, hey, what do you think about having bag tags made up that said US Open on them as a way, something to hand out at the end of the interview and a way to kind of convince them that we were confident that this could, that we could achieve their goals. And he said, yeah, that's great. Let's go for it. So then we had to make up this custom bag tag. We put their county logo on it. And then we had to try and pick a year for what would be logical as to, okay, if we hit a home run and you could host the US Open, when would that likely to be? When would that happen? And so we thought about it. We said, okay, if the course opens in 2007, it's going to need 10 or 15 years for them to see it and play it and get comfortable. Then they usually book them out, 10 years in advance. Best case scenario, maybe 2030. So we had these bag tags made up that said 2030 US Open on them. And that was the last slide of our presentation. And then we handed them out to each person on the committee. And so I think that was something that resonated with them. Little did we know that we would be lucky enough to actually get the Open, but get it early. We've long joked that had we put a clause in the contract that said we'd get some big giant bonus for every year ahead of 2030, I'm sure they would have signed it at the time. So we probably missed out on millions and millions of dollars though.
So yeah, I mean, the course opened in 2007 and the US Open was there in 15. So, and they announced Chambers and Aaron Hills the same time. So was that 09 or 10 when they announced they were going to go there?
February of 2008. So about 7 months after after the golf course opened.
So, and Mike Davis had a little bit to do, I think. Was he a consultant or maybe had some involvement with the design process along the way? Is that right?
Yeah, so we invited the USGA to come out and visit the golf course while it was under construction. I went and measured tents to get the size of the various tents and different areas, whether it was the merchandise tent or big giant food tents or even just corporate hospitality tents, so that we could try to build a lot of that into the areas that would be between holes or adjacent. So to the right side of the 18th hole, as you play it on a day-to-day basis, it just looks like there's kind of a dune off to the right, but in reality, on top of that dune is a kind of a big flat pad that was strategically designed to accommodate, a corporate tent and then a staging area behind the tent and then a roadway behind that and all that kind of stuff. So I randomly met Mike Davis at the 2005 U.S. Amateur at Marion and told him about Chambers Bay and all that. And so they actually visited in the spring of 2006, came out while we were doing construction. And I'll never forget that he sent a note afterwards that basically said, thanks so much for having us out. The property, the region, the area has everything we could ever ask for or think about in a potential venue. Don't fuck up the course.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
That's a vote of confidence for you.
So I got to ask, because, everybody knows number 18 at Chambers Bay, obviously the drama that unfolded there with Dustin and the US Open and all that stuff. But what's your favorite hole of that layout and why?
It's a question I get asked all the time, and if you have kids, it's kind of like asking what's your favorite kid, right? And so,
right.
Oftentimes you love them equally but differently, right, or for different reasons. So some of the holes I love because we found them; they were actually kind of there, and so it was neat to find the hole from the original visit on the site, and then just kind of peel away the layers and craft it from what was already there. Other holes were a real challenge to build, and so you had to have the vision to see what it could be, and then you go through the process and you refine it to get it to what it is. And then obviously then there's the history that's made. I think by and large, I would stack up the par four. I'd put the par fours at Chambers Bay up against any par fours I've ever seen anywhere. We've got a lot of diversity. We've got short ones, long ones, wide. They move different directions. There's tons of strategy. The 16th hole is probably one that comes to mind. Many people comment that they feel like it looks cool or looks natural. It was completely created. The right side of the 16th hole used to be a big berm that went along the edge of the property, and so we knocked out that whole berm. The fairway, the waste area on the right-hand side's entirely created. The fairway was built up out of a low area that was filled with trees before we started. And so to me, that's a hole that's got really interesting strategy. It can play 430 yards. They can move it all the way up to 280. So in the summertime, you can play it at 280 and make it drivable. They did that for the Open. I've also seen a Pac-10 event there in 2008. More in the wintertime, they played from 430 and guys were hitting driver 3-wood on that hole. So it's got a lot of versatility. If you hug the right side, you gain an advantage into the green. Depending on where they put the flag stick, it can completely change with the stuff. So hole's a par 4 that plays through the dunes. Many people often comment that that's the most natural hole on the golf course or look the most beautiful or whatever. And that was the most artificial hole on the course. That fairway is about 40 feet lower than when we started. We had to blow a path through that dune. So that one was rewarding because people comment that it looks natural and it was created. So that's satisfying to know that it turned out that way.
Right. Well, I think one of the things Jody, as we get into this major at Chambers Bay, we're not playing Chambers Bay and then some other golf course the other day. This is going to be Chambers Bay Saturday and Chambers Bay Sunday. And so you're going to get to play it 2 days in a row. We're going to be able to tinker a little bit with the course setup. And so one day you may play 16 and it's drivable, and the next day you may play it and it's the hardest hole on the golf course. And, as Jay, as you were saying, Chambers Bay is perfect to be able to do that. And it's going to be fun to be able to do that. And so you're going to be able to see the golf course in different conditions with different winds, different pin locations, different tee setups. And it's going to be just a phenomenal weekend. We booked a hotel in downtown Tacoma, which is a really fun place. We're down in the financial district, the theater district. There's tons of restaurants within walking distance of the hotel. It's going to be a phenomenal way to spend Labor Day. Most of you guys, Labor Day weekend, it's 105 degrees somewhere and you're miserable, burning up. Come to the Pacific Northwest for the Labor Day at Chambers Bay. I got to give you credit for that, Jody. That was a good name. It's going to be a great weekend, and so I cannot wait to get up there. It'll be my first trip to Washington, so I'm excited to get up there.
If you guys ask the team up there, they've got a great team up there that's kind of been there from the start. They've GPSed the hole locations from Sunday of the U.S. Open, so if you ask them, you guys can get the same hole locations. I'm sure they'd set that up for you.
Nice.
We can definitely make that happen. And, of course, now we won't have any of the issues that they had with the greens. They've changed over to shortly after the U.S. Open. I think it was, 2018, they resurfaced over to the Poana. And so I've actually had a chance to go out and play since they've regrassed the greens, and they're fantastic.
Yeah, there's, we started with fescue greens, as is the case with fescue greens. Over time, POA comes in. If you think of all the Bandon courses, the first course, Bandon Dunes, those greens are all POA now. Second course at Pacific Dunes, those are all POA now. I think Trails is just finishing up kind of its transition from fescue to POA. Old Mac still fescue, but it's working its way there. So it's part of the natural transition. Obviously, unfortunately, in 2015, it was at kind of an awkward stage in that transition, and then some of the weather patterns that spring and the tournament setup and all that had exacerbated some of those issues. But rather than just waiting for nature to take its course, they pulled the trigger and resodded the greens with POA. I believe they're the first course to ever do that, and it's turned out great. And so all the contours are the same. It's just a little bit more consistent putting surface, and so hopefully people will make all those putts. Ironically, they made more putts in the 2015 U.S. Open than they do in other U.S. Opens. It's just not necessarily what you saw on TV.
It was very diplomatic of you to avoid assigning any blame to anyone in particular. You did a great job.
Lots of great people involved on all fronts.
Absolutely.
Well, sorry, go ahead, Jody.
I was just going to ask Jay, as a architect now with your own shop and doing your own design work, you want to talk a little bit about some other projects you've had the luxury of privilege of working with or working on, and maybe talk about what you got coming down the pipe coming up.
Yeah. So I spent 11 years with Robert Trent Jones too. In that time, I had the chance to kind of be the key creative force behind 3 projects: Chambers Bay, the Patriot, which is a private club outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you've ever heard of Patriot Golf Day or the Folds of Honor Foundation, those are headquartered right there. Pretty unique spot, diverse landscape, maybe not what people might have in their head when they think about Tulsa, Oklahoma. There's about 200 feet of elevation change. There's limestone canyons and and then a very unique practice facility for Stanford University, close to right in the Bay Area there. Since starting my own firm in 2012, I had a chance to lead a major renovation of Century World in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, back in my home state. Century is a public golf course. It's owned by Century Insurance. They're the ones who sponsor the event at Kapalua every year. We hosted the 2019 U.S. Girls Junior, and they're going to host the 2023 U.S. Senior Open. And then a private club down in Orange County, California, Santa Ana Country Club, right near John Wayne Airport. That was the oldest golf course in Orange County, dates back to 1901. But I first saw it in 2014, and the course that was there was basically a 1970s golf course. And so we knew we needed to do a lot of work in terms of greens, tees, bunkers, irrigation, drainage, all that kind of stuff. And ultimately what we decided to do is basically build a new golf course on the same site. And so we rerouted all 18 holes and tried to craft the golf course so that it looks and feels like it was from the early 1900s. Orange County has a lot of golf courses that look and feel like they're from the 80s or 90s, very kind of resort look to them. This is something that we wanted to craft to look and feel like it was from the early 1900s. Currently working with clubs in Houston, Oakland, Minnesota, and looking at a few other things too. So eager to get some of those things out of design and into the dirt.
Awesome. Matt, you had something you were going to ask?
Yeah, well, one of the things we're excited about this event at Chambers Bay is the value of it. 2 rounds at a U.S. Open venue. The Labor Day at Chambers Bay is going to be sponsored by Turtleson, so entry is going to include a tee gift from Turtleson. So looking at $100 value polo just when you sign up. But just with the cost of it, elevated prize pool, just like we've done at a lot of our other majors. This one will be no different, and the entry fee is actually cheaper than you could go buy a greens fee for 2 greens fees at Chambers Bay. So great value. And we're going to open up registration tonight for the first 30 people, just like we did last week. So if you're listening tonight, watching tonight, and want to jump on it right now, you can get in. You do have to renew your membership for 22 if you haven't done that yet, but then you can get in with a deposit. And so the full retail cost of the event is going to be $599, so under $600 for this event. And so the deposit's $120 to reserve your spot. So I will post that link right now. What do you think, Jody?
Oh, love it. Love it. Jay, man, I appreciate you coming on with us and taking some time out of your day there with the Raider program. I appreciate being a part of the program myself. I always look forward to seeing you whenever we end up at the retreats together. And my buddy Matt here is a new Raider, so he'll be hopefully coming to some retreats here real soon, and we'll all get to hang out and play some golf together.
Well, I look forward to it. I was a little upset. I heard all this conversation about this Pasatiempo trip. I live about 25 minutes from there. I don't remember getting that phone call. So Pasatiempo is one of my all-time favorite golf courses, and you were correct that it actually had a little bit of inspiration for what we ended up doing at Chambers Bay, particularly in the green complexes, in terms of having some slopes that you can use and tie in and use the ground plane. But it's always great to be with you. Appreciate the opportunity to talk golf. So best of luck with everything, and appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Jay.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you, Jay.
Yep, great to see you guys.
All right.
Well, that's going to be exciting, Jody. I've got to say, Labor Day weekend, Chambers Bay, 2 rounds at a U.S. Open venue. A couple weeks after the U.S. Women's Mid-Am will be there right before us. We actually originally wanted the date that the Women's Mid-Am was going to be contested, and we're talking to them, and then they called us one day. I was like, hey, the USGA wants to host a championship. Are you guys okay with that? So we were happy to divulge. So Labor Day is going to be a great turnout. It's actually a great time to travel to the Pacific Northwest. Their busy season starting to wind down. The weather's perfect. The golf course will be in phenomenal shape. It'll be a great value to be able to get out there. So fortunately for us, we are not done tonight. We've got another major announcement to make. But before that,
I do want to tell Jay that
hold up.
There was a reason why we didn't come hang out with him when we were out there last year. We were a little bit incognito and didn't really advertise that we were hanging out in California last year. So next time we come that way, Jay, San Francisco, West Coast, anywhere up and down in that area, we will definitely come see you.
Definitely. Oh, he's muted. We can see him talking. But anyways, we're going to jump in straight to our new chapter. But first, let's watch this message from our partners at Motive CBD.
11 years in the NFL takes its wear and tear on your body. In the morning, I take the joint and muscle capsule, and then mid-morning I do orange oil, and then mid-afternoon a little bit more of the orange oil, and then when I go to bed at night I take another of the joint and muscle capsule. I found it just keeps me running smooth.
Awesome. So little technical difficulties with Chris. There we go. Trying to get you on the screen too. He's rebooting his computer. The fun of being a rookie doing these streams for sure. But man, I'm telling you, the 2022 season, Jody, is looking to be pretty special, isn't it?
Oh, it's fantastic. Everything is kind of falling into place, not only from the quality of the host venues, but also just the timing and how everything's kind of going to fall in place along the way. It's really going to create a nice little road to the North American Championship for us. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a little nervous though when Jay said, he's like, yeah, we shaped some of the greens like Pasatiempo. The mark of a great golf course is, we talk about this all the time in rating. If a week later, can you remember all 18 holes? And I don't think the meaning of that is some of the nightmares I still have from, chipping from right of number 2 green at Pasatiempo, trying to stop it on the green, or, trying to hit a flop shot to some of those spots. I mean, my goodness, they are by far the best green complexes I've ever played. And so I'm absolutely in for Chambers Bay. It's going to be a blast. Once again, registration's open right now to the first 30 people tonight, and then we'll shut it down. Peeking in here to see.
It's not every day you get to talk to the guy who actually put pen to paper and, created that golf course from his mind, just from walking around a sand pit that had sat there for 100 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Literally, this piece of property sat there for 100 years. Was an old sand and gravel pit that was used to, I think, supply materials to build some old forts back, before the 1900s, but right before 1900, and for him to go in there, like he said, walking around like a kid in the sandboxes, climbing up on top of a dune, see what he could see, and then go back to his office and create that. That's impressive.
It's pretty legit for sure. I'm kind of geeking out about it a little bit. So don't get me wrong. I love creating golf tours, but I'm a little jealous.
The one thing he didn't get to really get into much detail about is, they moved 1.4 million cubic yards of material to build that golf course. So, I mean, it was not something that where they just walked over to the edge of this pit, looked down in it, and goes, "Oh yeah, there's 15, 16 holes. We'll create a couple more, and we're all good to go." They got in there and they dug around and they played with it and they made it exactly what it ended up being. And again, I can't say enough about it. I've had the privilege of playing quite a few places around the country, and it's easily in my top 5 of the best modern golf courses I've ever stepped foot on. And I've had the luxury now of playing it 3 times, and I can't wait to go back and play it again.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Well, if we're gonna keep booking all of these majors, we need to continue to expand our footprint. And I'm telling you, since we talked to these guys, it's been, we started discussions 5, 6 months, 7 months ago, maybe. It was a long time ago. I've been waiting very much for these days. We talk about people joining our team that are our people. That's probably our number one requirement when we start interviewing people and looking for who we want to add to our team. And are they our people? Which means do they share our passion for the game? Do they share our passion for customer service? Are they driven to just elevate the experience of playing in a golf tournament? Are they in it for the right reasons? And these guys checked every box from day one. I'm just can't wait to announce them. And so let's just get right into it, I guess. And so we are absolutely excited to announce a chapter coming to Maryland. And so let's bring these guys on. Dave, Charlie, Aaron, how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well, thanks. We're excited.
So everybody on.
Very excited to be here, gentlemen. Very excited.
I want to know, Aaron, are you more excited to be walking on the beach tonight or to be on our broadcast with us? Because either answer would work for me.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm at the biggest ocean in Minnesota right here. I don't know if you can see that, but the big Lake Superior. So
nice.
No, it's I got to tell you, I'm more excited to be on this live cast with y'all than being at the lake, because this night's checking a whole lot of boxes of personal fulfillment for this team that you just brought on. I got myself and 2 guys that love the game of golf more than anybody else that I know, and more excited to create a tour in outside of Myrtle Beach, one of the most dense golf meccas in America that's unspoken and unheard of. Maryland has just a plethora of some of the nicest courses that you'll ever be able to play. So
yeah, it's going to be fun. I was kind of excited with your military background, with Jay and the Patriot Golf Club, how that just kind of worked out. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, Aaron, and what brings you to your, the passion to join the APT, and we'll go around the horn here.
So after a 20-year career in the Navy, a lot of people out there know kind of what I did after I joined the Navy. I'm not going to get into that so much. But seeing competition and having golf as my personal outlet. I was featured in a magazine article by Tom Coyne, a great golf writer, and I truly credit this game with saving my life. And I see what it's done with a lot of my veteran friends, how they use it to stay motivated, stay active, and stay involved with each other and not isolate. And what a great game it is. If people are out golfing, they're not doing something stupid and getting into trouble. Arnold Palmer had this great quote that said, golf is, he said a bunch of stuff, but the last thing he said anyhow was, it is without a doubt the greatest game ever invented. So I agree with that.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have you on board. Dave, you want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. Also a 20-year plus veteran of the Navy as well. Aaron and I crossed paths through a mutual friend in the Virginia chapter. We kind of linked up and we kind of hit it off together. Then Aaron brought in another fellow friend of ours named Charlie, who will go next after us. And the three of us just kind of meshed together. We took off during COVID, and I don't know, we must have played 32 different golf courses throughout the Maryland, Pennsylvania area. We just explored and we just played we played 36 holes almost every day. And we found some really gem golf courses throughout the central area. My passion is I'm an analyst for an intel agency. I'm still doing that currently. I don't know how much longer I got left in the gas tank. It'll be like 16 years of federal service, along with 20 some odd years in the military. I'm getting kind of burned out of my trade craft. Looking forward to doing something else in the near future. But I really have a really passion for the game. Like Aaron said, the game has got us through some tough times in our life, and we're looking to grow the Maryland chapter quite honestly. I want to thank John and Virginia for kind of mentoring us a little bit and showing us the way. We're going to work closely with our bordering states to really, make this ATP really expand in our region. So, we're kind of unique in where we live. Maryland and Virginia are very close, and Pennsylvania is right there as well. So, so we're really looking forward to getting this kicked off for next year. We're going to have a very exciting schedule. We're very thankful to be joining the team.
Yeah, well, we're excited. You guys are really bringing some great connection for us. I think one of the things that's we don't talk about enough, Jody, on the APT is this point system that allows you to get full points for traveling and playing in different chapters. One of the ideas from one of our chapter owners that came in that's turned out to be one of the best things that's happened, because you can go and play other chapters and guys can travel and meet different people, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities to travel to Maryland and play. The Philadelphia guys coming down, Virginia Capital guys coming over, guys traveling all up and down the Eastern Seaboard to play some really great golf courses, and so we couldn't be more excited to have you guys on board. Charlie, how are you doing tonight, man?
We can't hear you, Charlie.
We're trying to get Charlie. Everybody say hi to Charlie, even if Charlie can't say hi to us.
Everybody wave at Charlie.
It's all good. I mean, it wouldn't be a night, Jody, if this didn't happen to us at some point. Yeah, well, so we're still rookies taking our stripes. But man, it is going to be awesome to have you guys on board. Maryland's going to be a huge chapter for us. I know John talks all the time about how good you guys are and how I can't wait to work together with you guys and really build a great schedule. And so, Aaron, you want to take a minute, talk a little bit about some golf courses in Maryland that we all need to come visit next year, or do you want to keep that under wraps for people for right now?
I'll just tease you with this. Some of the public courses that people are allowed to get on in Maryland are some of the nice public courses you can get on, but it's the private courses that might bring people in from California when we announce where we're going to be getting into. So over my 14 years in Maryland, I've made some contacts at some of the nicest courses that Maryland has to offer, and we're hoping to bring them on board. And but I guess tease a few in the Frederick County area, Frederick County, Maryland. Worthington Manor, host site of 14 U.S. Open qualifiers, 15 now, maybe even. Blue Mash, built on an old Montgomery County dump. Great inland links feel golf course. I got to tell you, my little hidden gem in Frederick, Clustered Spires. It's a municipal course, but hands down one of the nicest maintained courses in the area. So, Maryland National Musket Ridge. We got some that we're going to be teasing up in Pennsylvania that we'll be working with. That's not quite in the Philly chapter area. But I got a feeling that next season in the Philly, Crab Cake Maryland tour and the Virginia tour, every weekend's probably going to have a really, really good tournament to go to. So looking forward to working with our partners to the north and south, to build an excellent tour, excellent season, and get a lot of people golfing,
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to traveling, hanging out with you guys. Looking forward to meeting each of you guys at the chapter owners retreat this December. I want to just talk for a minute. I'm reading comments tonight and different things. Obviously this year it's been a complete whirlwind. Jody, don't you think? From last year at this time, we were literally just questioning if we were going to actually go through with this and do it. And I'm so thankful we did. I don't know, if we may have got excited and said this could have happened, but I don't know if any of us really believed that this would happen this fast. And so it's been fun, working with our different chapter owners, and we work with them just, day in and day out. Probably half my day is on the phone with our chapter owners every single day. We're talking about rules, we're talking about policies, we're talking about things. And so it's one of those things. If you guys have an idea to make the tour better, reach out to us, reach out to your chapter owners. We do take this stuff into consideration. We are working on some improvements for 2022. If you sit down and talk to us and ask us, do you think you've done everything right this year? The answer is not a chance. We've made a lot of mistakes. We failed forward, but the one thing we continue to do is listen to the players, because we're serious when it's a players tour, which means that, player feedback matters. And, certainly would love to hear from you. We're going to have a great retreat coming up in a few months once we get through this North American Championship at Pinehurst. And, we've got some things that we've already talked about that we're going to do. And we're certainly mulling through some other ideas to make the tour better. And so, while 2021 has been great, we're really looking forward to tweaking some things and making 22 even better for the players. So anything you want to add on that, Jody?
Well, no, I think you hit the nail on the head. Just to quickly acknowledge, Dave has been traveling himself quite a bit with the APT. I think we've crossed paths 3 or 4 different times in West Virginia and South Carolina, and maybe 1 or 2 other places. So I know Dave's been getting out and playing a lot of APT events and getting down to Virginia Capitol, playing a lot down there. And Aaron, my brother is retired Air Force and lives in National Harbor, Maryland. So I'm certainly planning on spending some time up there with you guys, and I expect you to show me where all the best crab cake places are.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. That's easy. I'll tell you right now, it's Fratelli's in Middletown, Maryland. I don't care what people say about Annapolis. Fratelli's, Middletown, Maryland. Best crab cake you'll ever eat in your life. Maybe we'll get them as a sponsor.
That'll be all right. We can do that.
I said they should be, because you're giving them plenty of props right now. That's for sure.
Free ads, right? No free ads.
No free ads. Come on now. No, I'm just kidding. But man, we're excited. We've got more things to announce next week. We've been working really hard. I'll tell you to stay on the lookout. We just signed a contract with that's going to be really big for our members from a sponsorship perspective. So we've got another one to roll out. We'll have a big announcement about maybe next week and maybe the week after. We'll see how things roll out as we get things ready to go. But it's going to be it's going to be really fun, and lots of good things for membership. We joke, Jody, that our membership's worth it if you just take the discounts and never play golf. If we can continue to keep providing value like that, I think we'll be just fine. This will be another one that's just a no-brainer for our members to take advantage of, not only when they're playing golf, but they'll be able to use this for family vacations and business trips and travel, and it's going to be really good for everybody. So we're really excited to let that cat out of the bag as soon as possible. Anything else we need to chat about tonight, man?
No, I think there's been some questions in the chat about what courses we'll be playing at Pinehurst. We'll be rolling that out here very soon. We've been pulling all the scorecards, getting the yardages and everything down so we can get the tee assignments ready to go. I've spent the last couple of days working on our senior major to get those tee assignments worked up, working with you and Phil also to make sure we get those numbers right. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. We will let you know very soon what courses we'll be playing at Pinehurst, who's going to play where in rounds 1 and 2. And so that information will be coming out very soon.
Definitely. And just so you know, registration's still open. We'll keep it open till, 10 p.m. Central, something like that, Jody, or the first 30 to sign up. We've got 15 have already signed up for Chambers Bay. We got 15 more spots open. So jump into that quickly. Once it's gone, it'll be gone until we reopen it after the North American Championship. So this is your chance for watching tonight to be able to jump on it. Next week, Joe, you'll want to turn in. We will figure out exactly when registration is going to open on the 16th. We will announce that. I don't think it'll be right at midnight because I have to do it manually, and I will probably be asleep, hopefully, at midnight. That hasn't happened a lot recently, but I'm trying to go to bed before midnight. So we may open it at, we may have to do a breakfast live. Jody, what do you think?
Yeah, and we can't be prejudiced against our guys on the West Coast Pacific time. So,
so we may have to do it like 10 a.m., something like that.
Mid-morning, something along those lines, so everybody has a chance to be awake and have their coffee and have their computer fired up, ready to go and log in and get their spot.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be good. It's filling up quick. It's certainly registration is going better than expected, which I think will be good. And I will tell you, you do not want to miss this North American Championship at Pinehurst. It's our first ever national championship, and we're going to make sure it's really special. And so definitely want to be a part of it. $52,000 prize pool. That's like 3 times bigger than any of our competitors when it comes to payouts. It's going to be really special. And so if you're qualifying to play on number 2, you'll be earning a nice little Visa gift card there, all within, of course, the USGA amateur status. We do talk to them about that, and then competing for Player of the Year. It's going to be a great time. So we're looking forward to it.
Nailed it.
He's just sitting there. Oh, that's cool. Well, anyways, we'll sign off tonight. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back with you guys next week. Another major announcement. This one's also near and dear to my heart, so I'm excited for that. Hopefully we'll have the new national partner ready to come out to you. Another local chapter next week. So that'll be now 6 new chapters coming on board next year. We'll continue the expansion. We'll continue to release the national major schedule. And so stay tuned. But until next week, be safe and hope you play well this weekend.
Crab cakes.